Hello everybody, welcome back to Carolina Chan. Today I'm going to be answering frequently asked questions that have been given to me by you guys. I just want to say thanks for reaching out and asking me all the questions that you guys have. I really do like meeting you guys and talking to you guys about, getting into OT school and starting this awesome profession. So I actually gathered all of the questions that I had been getting from you guys, mostly on Instagram, some on YouTube comments, but we're going to be going through them and answering them together. So I think the most common question, or one of the most common questions that I've been receiving is, how was the application process for you, and do you have any admissions tips? So to be completely honest with you guys, the application process for me was kind of a blur. I was extremely busy at the time that I was applying because I was a senior in undergrad at USC. I was trying to finish up that school year and, graduate with good grades. And I was also in this student-run production at UCLA, which took up most of my time. And I was commuting there back and forth like 3 times a week. And all of my energy was kind of put into that production, and the energy that was left over was put into school. And I was also serving at church. I was just doing a lot during my senior year, and I remember when I was trying to do the application, I don't think I had the capacity to fully be immersed in it, if that makes sense. I wanted to be, don't get me wrong. I really cared about the application and making sure that I did everything correctly. So it was just kind of a blur because my mind was somewhere else. And yeah, so it wasn't as stressful only because I was so busy. Another question I've been getting is, what helped you during this stress and anxiety inducing time? So again, like I said, I was extremely busy, and I really do think that's what helped me keep my mind off of the application. I think it's okay to want something badly, and it shows that you care when you worry about it, but at the same time, worrying about it isn't gonna change the situation. And that's what I kept telling myself, and that's why I was really able to just surrender my application and know that whatever happens is supposed to happen. And if I don't get in the first time, it doesn't mean I can't be an OT in the future, and it doesn't mean that I won't get into any other programs in the future. So I just kept telling myself that when I did find myself getting a little anxious or nervous about, did I get in or did I not get in? I think it also helped that I had really supportive people around me, and they were just speaking truth into me. Like I said before, that worrying really won't change anything, so there's no use in worrying. And I know that's easier said than done, but when you really kind of think about that a little bit, it makes sense. So you're able to get some freedom from the anxiety once you think in that perspective. How did you strengthen your application? I think I had a pretty strong GPA, and I had a decent GRE score. It was the target score that I was hoping for. But if you're specifically wanting to apply to USC, again, they look at each part of the application equally. At least that was the case when I was applying. But I actually didn't have any observation or volunteering hours, and that did worry me a little bit, because I know that a lot of people that were applying, they had hundreds and hundreds of hours. But even though it wasn't required for USC, I still felt like, is my application not as strong because I don't have that experience? I'm not sure if that was the case, but I do recommend getting hours if you can, especially if you're in undergrad right now, or if you're in high school thinking about majoring in OT or pursuing OT long term. I definitely recommend getting some type of patient experience, not only to make your application stronger, but to be more comfortable in that environment and getting your foot in the door earlier. Because I feel like having more patient experience and clinical experience, whether it be volunteering or just shadowing, it would have helped me feel a little bit more comfortable during my fieldwork experiences. I think the strong point in my application was my personal statement, just because I took so much time in it and I really saw that I could shine through that area of my application. Are there any specific tips you have on getting into USC's program? And I think it's just a GPA, good GRE score, and good personal statement. But more than that, I feel like I just think the most important thing is your drive and your passion, and I think that will show. As long as you have that, that will show in your personal statement, that will show in your letters of rec, and people will know that you're serious about pursuing this profession for the right reasons. And I would just say, if it is your dream school and you don't get in the first time, then to not give up. I mean, if you get into other programs and you decide that route is a good option for you too, then by all means do that. But if you're like dead set on USC, like I need to go to USC OT school, then I would say just try again next year, and there's no harm in that. Is it true that USC is more research focused? I would say so. Even in undergrad, I always had a research paper almost for every class. Definitely at least 1 to 2 per semester. So I feel like I was kind of used to the research heavy academics. Our OT program is also research heavy, and I understand why. I really appreciate that aspect of our program because it helps us be clinicians that really look at the evidence and don't just assume that what we're doing is what works, and without any evidence behind it or theory behind it. We have a qualitative research course and a quantitative research course, and also whenever we write papers, we're always asked to back it up with evidence from the literature. USC really does value research. We have an amazing research program. We have a research doctorate track, so it is a cool aspect of our program and I enjoy it. And kind of going along with the research question, people have been asking, is USC like really theory heavy? And I would say we are theory heavy, but it definitely helps us out in the long run because, you know, we are trying to provide client-centered care, and each client is so unique. Even if they have the same diagnosis as another person, that doesn't mean it presents the same, that doesn't mean it affects them the same. So being able to use theory and then being creative in finding practical solutions and interventions based off of that theory, I think that's what makes us really great clinicians, and I really appreciate that USC does that. And it's not, this is what my professors always say, it's not some cookie cutter recipe that you just like copy and paste to each patient, and we're not going to give you like all of these recipes for intervention so you could just hand them out, because eventually you're going to run out of recipes, you know, and all those recipes might not fit each client. At first I did have a hard time adjusting to the theory heavy academics because I do well under structure and, you know, like A plus B equals C, but now I've learned to appreciate, especially after my clinical experiences at fieldwork, I have been able to see that even though I don't have like recipes for interventions, because I have the underlying theory and foundational knowledge, that allows me to come up with treatment plans and interventions. I am not like 100% comfortable with that. It takes a while, but being able to see movement and see and analyze the way the human body moves through an OT lens, I think that's what USC concentrates on, and it's good in the long run for you. So it is kind of hard to adjust to, but it is definitely worth it. This next question is, how is the workload? And the workload, it did take me a while to get used to the workload, only because USC starts as a summer program, and it's a very, very intense summer program where you learn like all the foundations like kinesiology, neuroscience, the history of occupation, stuff like that. And it's a full day of learning. I think it's like 8 hours a day. I have like a test at the end of each week, sometimes for multiple classes if I remember it correctly. But even though it was so fast paced and we had to learn so much information in such a short amount of time, like the nature of the course, you had to be on top of it. And as long as you studied and you did the work, even though it took a lot of hours, like it's manageable for sure. And it helps because you're not the only one going through that really intensive program. You're all going through it together. And I feel like that's when you meet like your first few OT friends and you bond through the coursework and the pace of the classes. And I would say for the immersions, like the regular semesters, the workload is definitely manageable. I would say adult rehab was very difficult for me. That was the first immersion that I went into, and I wanted to kind of get it out of the way because I had heard that it was the hardest immersion, and wow, yeah. I don't know if it was the hardest in the sense like it was more workload than others, but maybe it's because it was my first immersion, I was still adjusting to grad student life, and I just remember I would have to immediately after class just review the material and study, and yeah, it was kind of hard because it's a lot of information, but it's definitely manageable, definitely doable, but it is a lot. What does an average school day look like? If you haven't seen my week in the life video yet, you could definitely check that out because that gives a little bit of information on what my day-to-day kind of looked like. For the immersion courses, which is 3 out of the 4 semesters, we have class 3 days a week and then 1 full day of fieldwork and then 1 day off. So I consistently have had Fridays off, so I have 3-day weekends, and then 1 day of field work, which no class, and I really liked having 1 day of field work during the semester. And then the classes on the other days were usually from 9 to 4 p.m. And right now, my last semester, I'm in my elective courses, so I could choose like what courses that I wanted and kind of like manipulate my schedule a little bit. But right now I have class from 8:30 to 4 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then no class Thursday and Friday. What was your housing situation and would you recommend living at Currie? So I tried out commuting for the summer program and a little bit into the fall. And while I commuted during the summer, I really thought I could do it. But I think because I was so drained from studying and my commute was like an hour and 30 minutes each way, I was so drained and so exhausted, and I wanted to nap when I got home, but I felt like I didn't have time to nap because I needed to study and get on top of my work. So I decided to move into Currie Hall around like October, and I made that decision because I saw it as that time I would be using to commute, I could be using to study, and the cost was worth it because it was literally like right across from school. But people definitely can commute and it's doable. I think like half the people in my cohort commuted, and I really respect them for doing that. And yeah, a lot of people take the train because a lot of people come from OC. I'm from the valley, and so the traffic going down and then back up was pretty bad. So it's all like what you think is best for you. Living at Currie, it's a really nice place. It's a nice apartment, feels brand new. My roommates are really chill. The amenities are cool. Yeah, if you want more information, you could check out their website or give them a call because they are taking applications for people to live in there, and they actually opened up a brand new building, so you guys could check that out. How is the faculty, and how would you describe the dynamic between your cohort and the faculty? I love the faculty. I think the faculty is one of the main reasons that I chose USC. I was actually a OT minor while I was an undergrad at USC, and I had some of the same professors that taught in the master's program. And when I was an OT minor student, I really admired all my OT professors, and I thought they were like the coolest people ever. And I felt like that was just a tiny glimpse into what the master's program could be like. So I knew going in that the faculty was amazing, and USC is the top program for occupational therapy, so we have a lot of amazing professors and researchers and staff. And day one from the program, you could feel the support from the faculty and how much they wanted to help you succeed. And every professor that I've come across and have had in class, I really did feel that, and they do go above and beyond to help you understand the material, to make sure that you're comfortable with it, to make sure that you are being trained to be the best clinician that you can be. And from day one, they're just so supportive and they're so open, and they will meet with you and schedule office hours with you, and they're super flexible. And yeah, I love the faculty. The relationship that we have with the faculty, I would say, is fun, and I really miss certain professors that I've had, because I felt like they're just, yeah, they just really bring like the energy to the class, and you could tell that they're so passionate and so devoted to helping students learn, and they just love the profession, and it's awesome to be able to learn from people like that. So another question I get is, why did you choose USC? USC was the only school that I truly wanted to go to, and like I said earlier, it's because I had the OT minor and I discovered OT at USC, and I felt that that was a calling and that was a sign that I should pursue OT at USC. And it's also in Southern California, which is where I was born and raised, and they have amazing faculty and clinicians as professors. They have really strong research, they take care of their students, and yeah, I couldn't see myself going anywhere else. Can you explain in more detail how and why you chose OT rather than any other health profession? So in my previous video on why I chose occupational therapy, I had mentioned that I really wanted to become an MD, a doctor, but I chose occupational therapy because being an MD, it was just too biomedical for me, and I felt like it didn't have as much room to grow a relationship with your patient and to follow them day to day to see the progress. And my friends had told me that, you know, like, why don't you look into PT, because, you know, like, you're seeing the patient more often, you really do build that relationship with them. And it's because they didn't know too much about OT. But then my friends that did know about OT recommended me to look into that profession, and when I was comparing the two, I saw that PT was still very biomedical, and I just really fell in love with what our profession stands for, which is helping people reach their full potential to engage in meaningful occupations, because we believe that engaging in meaningful occupations brings health and wellness to everybody. And OT, it doesn't just concentrate solely on the physical or solely on the psychosocial. It really is a holistic field that looks at the patient in its entirety and as a human being. And that's something that I really resonate with and really value, because sometimes when I would have doctors, they would treat me like a robot that just had like broken parts and needed to be fixed and sent on its way. But you know, like, there's a person behind all those symptoms, and I'm not just a list of symptoms. Really appreciated when people would look at me holistically, like, you know, looking at all of the experiences that I went through and how that can affect my health, and not just, okay, what's wrong with you, like, what are the symptoms, and that's all they see. And so that's why I really appreciate occupational therapy, because it looks at all the aspects of the patient. Sorry, that was kind of a long video, and hopefully I answered those questions clearly, and it was kind of hard to be succinct because I'm so passionate about all of these questions and all of these topics. But if you guys have any more questions, please don't hesitate at all to reach out to me on my social media, on my Instagram, or just leaving a comment here on this video. And yeah, I wish you all luck. I hope you guys are all safe and healthy in quarantine. Hang in there and we'll get through this together. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you guys in my next one.